The thing with trauma will keep you loyal. And it's either loyal in an unhealthy situation or loyal in a healthy situation. If you don't know your self-value, imagine just take some time, settle on where you are, work on your self-value. Shame ideally is a belief that something is inherently wrong with you. And we carry that.
When you know your identity and who you are, then you stop seeing opportunities as tokens and as favors.
Your mind can never change that which it fails to notice it needs to change. Small thing becomes your entire world.
Oh my goodness.
That's how trauma keeps you loyal. I think it's a fear not of rejection, but a fear of connection. If you don't know your self-value as a woman, somebody else will assign your self-value and you will live under that self-value.
Welcome to another episode of Rewire with Rose, a podcast where we talk about leadership and mindset. Thank you so much for joining us again today. Did you know that all of us have a script running in our minds? And that script determines the decisions we take or fail to take. It determines whether we show up, apply for promotion, or we don't, whether we apply for that job or we don't. On the set today is the amazing Nyambura, the therapist. Her name's Nyambura Rehema. I'm very delighted to have you, Nyambura.
Thank you.
Because I want us to focus today on unpacking all that and unpacking what our mindset means and what are the issues that come up that determine how we show up or fail to show up in the workplace. So maybe we can begin with you introducing yourself, Nyambura, and telling us very high level about yourself and your experience so far.
Sure. So my name is Nyambura Gadombi Rehema, but I go by Nyambura the therapist. I've been a therapist for the last 9 years now, since 2017. But before that, I was in corporate for 17 years. So I started off at Nivea. I think I worked there for 4 years. And then I moved on to Kenafric. I worked there for, I think, another 3 or 4 years. And then I moved to an organization called Laborex, which was pharmaceutical. I think I worked for 2 years. And I moved to Vitabix, worked for 3 years. Then I moved to Unga. I think I worked for 2 years. And then I did a very short stint in real estate, Tattoo City. Worked there, I think, for less than a year. I just And then my last role was marketing. I was a regional marketing head for Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Nigeria, and something else. And then I switched into being a therapist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting journey.
Yes.
And lots of choices along the way. There's something interesting that you said, that the life partner that we choose often is determined by our woundedness. Or the script that is running in our mind. What would you say is the reflection of now the inverse when it comes to jobs, careers, organizations that we work for, and teams? Do you think we choose them based on our woundedness or the script that's running in our minds?
I think most people start off their career based on what is available. Which is understandable because economically it's important. You need to work. But as you go up the ladder, I think that does occur. Most of us unconsciously, you will choose a situation or an environment where you perceive your emotional safety. So maybe if I use my case, when I started off at Nivea, it was just an opportunity. It was great. But when I went into these other organizations that I've mentioned, I think my unconscious decision was based on my comfortability. I didn't want a place where, get this, I don't want a place where my boss shouts at me, where somebody scrutinizes me. I wanted a place that I felt comfortable, which isn't the ideal when you're choosing a work environment. That's not the ideal. But the reason why that was so important for me was because I had experienced unsafety for such a long time in my upbringing that there was like, and safety is home, then everywhere else needs to be safe. So that was a script running in my mind. So when I went for an interview, it wasn't about how can I grow in the organization. It was, did I gel well with this person? Do they look like they are caring? Do they look like they're empathetic and competent? But that's not the role of your boss, unfortunately. They're there to have you work.
Yeah.
So those are the roles that's how unconsciously the script was running in my head. I didn't even know it was running in my mind. Yeah.
And I find that script very common in the workplace because I have seen it like in places where you have an opportunity available, a team member that is very qualified for that opportunity, but they pass on it, they don't apply for it. There are a couple of times I've had to nudge people and ask them, didn't you want to apply for this opportunity? And often I find that is because they didn't feel they were fit.
Absolutely.
They didn't feel qualified for that opportunity.
Yeah.
I haven't dug to their history
Yeah.
to find out what was determining that. But myself as a person, this happened to me. When I was getting into management and leadership, I fought it with all I had.
How so?
I did not want to be in leadership and management. I loved my technical work. I wanted to just continue doing that. Okay. I didn't want to manage people.
Right.
And I didn't want to have to shepherd performance through others.
Yeah.
But when I sat down and really, really thought about it, it's the feeling that I'm not enough. Am I enough? Am I good enough to manage people? Do I have what it takes? And when I interrogated it further, it took me to my childhood, experiences that I had that left me feeling rejected in some shape or form. So reflecting on that and with your experience as a therapist, what are some things that you have seen that in the work environment, especially on decisions around promotions, decisions around how work is distributed, how have you seen people's backgrounds showing up in how those decisions are made?
Yeah, and excuse me, it's so interesting you say that because it's everything. In psychology, you call it adverse childhood experiences. So adverse childhood experiences are things that you go through that in layman language is called trauma. Okay? Now, the thing with trauma will keep you loyal. And it's either loyal in an unhealthy situation or loyal in a healthy situation. When you've gone through adverse childhood experiences or trauma and you haven't reconciled that trauma, the narrative of you going through that trauma remains the same narrative of wherever you go to, whether it's in relationships, whether it's at work, whether it's spirituality, whether it's financial. And I want to break this down, the thing that trauma does is because trauma stills. So when somebody goes through trauma, so what is trauma? Trauma is is an event that causes an emotional experience. So trauma is anything catastrophic that happens to you, and then the emotional experience is what happens to you. So maybe you grew up in an environment where your parents were emotionally unavailable. That's the traumatic event. The emotional experience that continues to happen to you is a lot of fear and anxiety. Because when you grow up and our parents were emotionally unavailable, you don't learn about acceptance. You don't learn about internal autonomy/agency. Autonomy is the ability for your brain to actually think, this thing is good for me, so I'm going to pursue it. When emotional neglect is there, your brain has switched into survival. And if your brain is switching into survival, it means you're constantly on threat. Which means any small thing that comes, any small good thing that comes, you don't want anything above that. Because you're used to lacking. So anything small that comes, what I mean is, if you're not used to emotionally neglectful environments, no one focuses on you. So you grow up and you get into either a relationship or an organizational environment where somebody tells you either good or bad accolades, like you do this well, you just keep doing it again and again because this is new. I've never had this before. And when it comes and this person is giving it to you, your brain doesn't understand that you can experience much more than this. This small thing becomes your entire world.
Oh my goodness.
That's how trauma keeps you loyal, either in an unhealthy situation or in a healthy situation. And so when you're talking about promotions and somebody has not had the narrative of you're really good at this, you can handle more responsibilities, and this happens in childhood. You're really good at organizing, or you're doing this. Have you thought of, those conversations parents have with their children? Have you thought of doing this? Or I see you cooking. Have you thought of baking? Have you thought of selling your food? That expands the brain. The brain starts to look externally and say, okay, if I'm this good at this thing that my parent says I'm good at, then I must be good at this, and I must be good at this. So now you have an employee who's never had this, or you have a staff who's never had. All they've had is they're a nuisance, they're a burden, and all that stuff. So they're going to approach their work environment as if they're a nuisance and a burden. And then they have a boss, and unfortunately with the brain, it doesn't know, especially if you're in a threatening environment, any affection is affection, and that's why people get into unhealth. That's why people stay in toxic relationships, because any attention is attention. The brain doesn't distinguish this is bad or good. And so when you have somebody like this in the workplace and their brain doesn't have that blueprint, a promotion will come. They're a great worker because remember, trauma keeps you loyal, so you keep grinding and grinding. You're the boss. You're thinking, yeah, this person is amazing at this promotion. It has not once crossed their mind. And cognitively, it has not crossed their mind because nobody has ever told them that they can take higher responsibilities. But emotionally, it's a self-preserving environment. Meaning, this thing that I'm good at, I'm just going to keep doing it so much, and I don't want anything to affect this thing that I'm good at.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So you keep doing that.
Yeah, keep doing
and you
that.
keep performing at that level.
Exactly.
And you never go for anything that's higher or better. Might it also have something to do with fear?
Of course, everything.
I think about my situation. I grew up I was raised by my grandmother up to when I was 10 years. So my parents and my siblings were in Nairobi. I was in the village with my grandmother. I'm the firstborn. And I saw them once in a while. And the times that I was with them were great. My childhood was excellent. I mean, being brought up by a grandmother, really, you have all the freedom.
You do.
Right? So I didn't realize there was a rejection there. There was a rejection wound. Until a lot later in life, I didn't realize that a part of me wondered, why? Why me? So I raised that to ask the question. So when somebody is failing like this situation where I didn't want to take up, management and leadership, I just wanted to continue to perform at that level. Like you said, trauma was keeping me loyal. Is it likely there was fear as well? Fear of rejection, fear that if I manage a team, I could get rejected. If I'm delivering my task alone, it's just me and I'm just depending on myself. I can never fail myself. But if it's a team, perhaps I won't be good enough. Perhaps they will reject me. What's your reflection on that?
I think it's a fear not of rejection, but a fear of connection.
Okay.
Because when you're used to being brought up by your grandmother and you unconsciously, you don't know that you really desire to connect with your parents. But you're a child, you don't know that you desire to connect with your parents. What happens is you guard that connection. You take whoever comes. Yes, you're going to connect with them, but you're going to connect with them cautiously. It will be on a functional level, not on an emotional point of view. And the fear of connection is not that you don't want to connect, is that you don't know how to. And if the brain does not understand how to do something, it's a problem. So whereas you're saying it's a fear of rejection, the fear of rejection is an effect of the fear of connection. It's like, So then now I have to direct them, and then unconsciously it's like, okay, but the day that I'm not able to, it means I might lose this connection. So wacha tuikae. And all these are unconscious, by the way. This is the way your brain is trying to make sense of things. So it will create a narrative of rejection. Yeah. And many of us have that fear of connection without knowing.
I can see that now. But I can imagine how many people don't have that self-awareness. So many people get buried into the I'm not worthy.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't qualify. How have you seen it in your field or in your experience? How does it play between men and women? I ask that because I have found in my experience in leadership that I have found it harder for women to put their hand up for promotion and opportunity as compared to men. I've found that when men meet a few of the qualifications, they are ready, to tender their application for whatever opportunity. But women wait until they can check off all the check boxes. This disparity, why does it happen? Is it dependent on the experiences still, or is there still a gender perspective?
Well, it goes into something that I'm really, really passionate about on identity. Men's identity and women's identity. Women, we are identified in threes. You're first a maiden, you're young, get engaged, get married. What question normally comes after you get married?
When is a baby coming?
Then you take up the role of a mother, and then you bring up children who are older. And then what's the question that your older children are asked? When are you bringing somebody home?
Yep.
Then you become a matriarch. So for a woman, you're a maiden, then you're a mother, then you're a matriarch. But for a man, the identity is ambiguous. Men's identity is based on anatomy. It's you're once a boy, and then you're a man. Like, that's the most ambiguous thing ever. And the identity that we've created in this society is on function rather than being.
Yeah.
For women, our identity is on being and then function.
Yeah.
For men, it's on function and then being. But the function it's ambiguous. Like, once you're a man, you're a boy, and then you're a man. Now, because the acceptable identity of a man is on function, when it comes anywhere that they're able to demonstrate their functionality, they won't question it twice. When it comes to the situation for women, where our identity is on the three, first you got to tick it out. You've got to, as you've said, cross-reference it. So now you have two people. You have a man who is like, oh yeah, this part needs me to be functional, and everybody expects me to be functional, who has nothing to tick. And then you have a woman who has to check. Who's going to be very quick to raise their hand when their promotion is coming? It's the man, of course.
Yeah.
That's the difference in terms of the gender and how the different genders show up in the organizations. Now, what then is what then is the approach? It's complementary, it's not supplementary. And I wish as a society we would be able to see none is superior than the other. Both roles, both genders need each other, and that's the reality. Especially in our work environment. Men need to be emotionally regulated, same as women. But their emotion regulation is different.
Yeah. But to your point also about women and how, you're a maiden, you're a mother, you're a matriarch. So how, as women in the workplace, how should we handle ourselves to ensure that we are self-aware, that there's a lot more that we bring on the table as ourselves beyond the roles that we play in the society?
It's
what can we do?
Value, your self-value. I tell my young ladies, because I'm in middle age, I'm 42 this year, don't get into a relationship if you don't have your self-value. And I know this sometimes will settle in as a romantic relationship, but relationships are everywhere. It's in the romantic relationship. It's in friendships as well. That's a relationship. It's in the work environment as well. That's a relationship. If you don't know your self-value, imagine just take some time, settle on where you are, work on your self-value. The reason is this. If you don't know your self-value as a woman, somebody else will assign your self-value and you will live under that self-value. It's the same thing in the environment, in the work environment. If as a woman you don't know the self-value in terms of the workplace, I have capabilities, I am qualified, I have abilities for 1, 2, 3. If that is not top of your mind, whomever you're reporting to or whichever organization is there, they're going to tell you what you do and then now that will be your identity. Men don't have that as much as we struggle with that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, men struggle with it in relationships. We don't.
Okay, so practically, if you were to unpack, to sit with yourself and understand what's your identity and what are your values, what are some practical things that somebody can do to help them distill that?
Fantastic. One, what anchors your life? Because you're just not air, like perusing. You there's something you're here for. So what's anchoring your life? For me, that's faith. And then with faith, then I use scriptural principles and truths to build up on my value. I am loved beyond measure. So that if I do get into a romantic relationship, this will sound a little bit cocky, but I promise it's not. I'm not leveraging on your love because I am already loved.
Yeah.
You loving me is not, you're not rescuing me from anything. You're literally, it's just a companionship, but you're not the foundation of my life. Or just because you said I love you doesn't mean now the skies are open. And no, because the foundation of my identity is love by Christ.
Yeah.
And nothing can ever compare that. Nothing can ever take that away. So what anchors you in your life? Number 1. 2, what's your purpose? What do you live for? 3, what impact do you want to leave? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? And it's not legacy like working a Martin Luther King or C.S. Lewis and all those people. It's within your circle of influence. How do you want people to relate with you? What energy do you want to be? Like when people interact with you, how do they feel even without having to have a conversation with you? And then, and this is so, so important. What do you stand for? Because if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for something.
Anything goes.
Anything goes.
Okay. And to the point that you've said, what anchors you is really critical.
It's
because
so important.
That's what will determine how you feel about yourself. And nobody can ever fill that gap for you. Nobody can ever, want it for you. You've got to want it for yourself. To your point about when you know what anchors you and when you know your identity and who you are, then you stop seeing opportunities as tokens and as favors.
Yeah.
You stop feeling like, oh, they asked me to apply for a promotion. My goodness, what a favor.
Yeah.
You start looking at it from the point of view of, I am it.
Yes.
Yeah. The favor is the other. I'm the one doing them the favor. They're the ones that need me more than I need them. And I think that that would make someone stop showing up with anxiety.
Yes.
Or stop showing up with fear. That they could lose this job or they could lose this opportunity, right? Back to what you said about what anchors you, what's your purpose. How do you think the things that drive us in the workplace regarding our growth, when you compare what is the external factors vis-a-vis your internal beliefs, what would you say is which one do you think takes the day? By external environment, I mean, for example, the opportunities available, your skills and education, your mentorship and coaching opportunities, everything else that is external to you, vis-a-vis your internal beliefs. If we were to balance them on a scale, which one would tip the scale more when it comes to its influence on career growth?
See, I think it's contextual. So this is the reality. Most of us get into workplaces for economic need. That's the reality. You have to start with that. Is this your economic need, or is it an inherited economic need? What I mean by that is this. What are your economic needs? You need to pay for your house, your rent. You need to, maybe you're the one helping financially with your family. Maybe there's a specific car you want to save for. Maybe there's a vacation that you want to go to. Okay? Those are your economic needs.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in that. Are you able to phase them out? Can you say, for now, rent is most important, which I believe is for everyone. Rent is most important, then food and all that. Those ones you need. So those are, maybe you cluster them in cluster A. Cluster B, maybe it's a certain lifestyle that you want to put in. The reason why you need to phase them out is so that then the job that you're looking for must first meet this economic, the E, a priority. The job that I'm working for, does it meet my economic needs now?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to work with this in this place, knowing that for now, it's meeting my economic need for the next 2 or 3 years. So then I am not worried, / I am not stressed about my rent payment for the next 3 years. Okay? But as I'm in this job, what do I need to do to move from this economic state that I'm in into now affording a lifestyle, affording this, affording... And that's the thing that most of us don't do. Even me, I expected that the job that I got was going to meet all these other things. So you're chronically under stress, constantly out of money, because then I have to do this. But if you phase it out, you're actually able to become more productive at the workplace, knowing that I have a plan from now and even 10 years, because I know by the time I'm getting to 10 years, either I'm retiring, and then also, you know what it does? It gives you bearance. If you're in, because let's also be honest, sometimes because of the economic times that we live in, you don't have a choice. You have to stick sometimes in a toxic work environment. But when you have a plan, you know, I'm in this work environment for the next 6 months, I'm at 2 years. Okay, what do I need to do then to balance my toxic stress? Maybe I need to work early. Maybe I need to go to therapy. Maybe I need to have a friend who I can vent to. Maybe I need to pray more. Maybe I need to join a Bible study. Or maybe I just need to scream and smash plates every Saturday. Just make sure you get the cheap ones. So you even have a thing that's helping you manage your stress.
Yeah.
So most of us don't phase out. We just take a job. Now we expect this job to meet all our financial needs. And that's where stress comes from.
Yeah. And you start being frustrated, comparing yourself with the Joneses, and
Exactly.
feeling like you are late in the day. Maybe some people you graduated with are way ahead of you, and now you're feeling the pressure to match up.
Yeah.
I like what you said, that phase it up, phase it, so that then you are fair to yourself. How about going back to a point that you raised that I think is very critical? Our childhood experiences, they shape how the trajectory of our lives, and that includes our working lives. Some people don't have the luxury of getting a therapist, or maybe they can't afford, or maybe they haven't even realized that they need one. To the first two groups of people who are not in a position to access therapy services, what would you tell them about getting to a point where they unpack what are these experiences and how did those experiences affect them, so that they can determine now in the workplace, how do I adjust myself accordingly?
That's such a good question. One, we live in an era where information is plentiful. So my direction would be this: look out for somebody who has scientific information. Look out for a professional, somebody who introduces themselves as a professional. They've been trained professionally to help you deal with this. Go to YouTube, just search. What are the effects of childhood trauma? Most of the time, you will get somebody who's really poured out their information. and knowledge on childhood experiences. I do that in my podcast as well. You will be able to learn and understand how the brain works, what happened to your brain when you went through this, and what you can do to slowly start rewiring the brain. So this information is at your fingertips. The thing that I want to be cautious about is you don't want to use AI as emotional support. You want to use it as for lack of a better word, cognitive support. You want AI to help you understand better from a scientific point of view. You don't want AI to make you to feel better. This is the reason why there's a lot of, there's emerging research, one of the most prominent one by Harvard Medicine School, that showed that using AI as an emotional support really reduces your social part of the brain. So that when you go near people or around people, you're now more anxious. Because this is the reality of AI, and they will tell you. Especially emotionally and spiritually, AI is algorithmed to tell you what you want to hear and what you want to feel. That's why you want to use it as a cognitive support. And the good thing, you put a prompt, give me a scientific understanding of 1, 2, 3. Before you even consume the information, because now even ChatGPT gives you a link, go to that link, click on it and see if it's an actual link. Because once you click on it, then your device starts to send you more scientific things. So you want to use AI as a cognitive, not emotional, not spiritual. Because it will make you feel what you want to feel, and it will warp who God is to you. And when, especially from a spiritual point of view, when AI tells you this is how God is, versus scriptural, you see now you have a dissonance. You're wondering, huyu Mungu wa AI ananisikizanga. This one for scripture is. So you want to use AI. So to answer your question, information is there. Just make sure it is scientific information. Now, to take care of your emotional health, get friends, get a community. Faith is really good in emotion regulation. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, you have. And I want to follow up on that. You said a very interesting thing that I'm glad you brought up, the role of AI, And I was listening to some talk that was saying that OpenAI, the biggest use case for OpenAI, for ChatGPT, is emotional support. So now that you're saying it's a problem, that tells you we have a big problem out there. If people are using it for companionship and now we have a generation, especially our Gen Zs that are getting into the workspace. We have a generation that has literally been raised on the internet, and it's very easy for them to introspect and get into the AI, and into dark web and all that. So I'm glad you brought that up. So just following up on that generation, that segment that's now getting into the workplace, and many of them, the way they relate is very different from how relationships were handled for generations like my generation and your generation. What would you advise them in terms of social, professional networks as well as social networks that would help them to deal with things like toxic workplace as well as high, and long work days, a lot of workload, and, just that mental pressure that you'd find in the workplace, especially when you're starting your career, because usually it's a lot of task-based and output-based results that can tend to overwhelm someone.
I think, I don't know, maybe you've seen this in the most recent past. What I'm trying to say, zamani kidogo, is you've realized that a lot of people are complaining about Gen Z's not only interpersonal skills but professionalism. My view is that organizations need to change as well. I think organizations and HR, they need to change their policies to accommodate the new workforce, not in a laissez-faire, but in a function of, in psychology we call it reframing. In a function of reframing what productivity looks like to this younger generation. Because us guys, well, me, when I was at work, productivity looked like very frigid and very strict on in 8-5, lunch 30 minutes. And it worked for us, it worked for the organization. But it's no longer there. It does no longer work anymore.
Yeah.
So it's the role of first the organization and the HR partners to reconstruct what productivity looks like without compromising on the organizational objective. Bottom line needs to be because from my experience and even the organizations that I've worked with, Gen Zs are some of the most intelligent people you'll ever work with. A Gen Z will give a presentation in 30, 40 minutes that me, my age, we spent 4-5 hours doing.
Yeah.
And that's productivity. So organizations, well, a call to organizations is that you guys need to restructure how productivity looks like without losing the objective. Now, when organizations have that kind of culture, and then Gen Zs now then have to respect the organization's restructuring of productivity because it's based on their understanding of productivity.
Yeah.
And so now here you have two key people or things that are responsible for the overall organizational objective. So Gen Zs feel responsible for this and the organization feels responsible for this.
Yeah.
Gone are the days of the boss said so to who like, and you know the thing is, Gen Zs have grown up with diverse experience of wealth and lack of wealth. So on both spectrums.
Yeah.
They've seen their peers get millionaires at 8-9 years.
Yeah.
And they've seen this happen. And then you're coming to tell them the boss said, it will not work. And now the boss will constantly be frustrated.
Yeah.
Why don't you reconstruct? Okay, our organization stands for this. And this is why organizations need to restructure. Whether they like it or not, this is the bigger workforce that's coming into your organizations. And that means then this is the future of your productivity.
Yeah.
So if you don't reconstruct, you're losing out big time.
Yeah. I totally agree. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
You know, it's said that Africa is, you know, the youthful continent.
Exactly.
You know, 70% and above of our population is youthful. So this is the population that's getting into the workplace. So really organizations have to shift. And I think the shift has happened. I think also COVID really taught the world, you know, about new ways of doing things, new ways of structuring work, new ways of structuring office hours. Now there's flexibility in, you know, hybrid working formats, etc. So I think, like you said, organizations will have to shift. I want us to pivot a bit as we come to a close.
Already?
Imagine that's how quickly 30 minutes go by. So thinking about middle management and even senior management, there are people who get into management and they get into leadership, but they're still having that child, that script of their child playing through them. So they find themselves in boardrooms where they are not able to put their hands up. You know, they struggle to put their points through. They struggle to feel like they have value to bring on the table. If there's someone that is listening like that, what are some practical things you can tell them to do in the workplace, in the current role that they are playing, to help them to identify those limiting beliefs so that then they can begin to address them?
So this is the thing with this kind of work. And maybe I'm not being biased. I'm actually being very objective. You need somebody else to tell you that's a limiting belief. Because you don't know. And your mind can never change that which it fails to notice it needs to change. And so for mid to senior level managers, and I do a lot of business and leadership guidance, what is better known as coaching. I call it guidance because most of us understand what we want. We just don't know how to get into that. I think you really do need to work with somebody. It's not like therapy. If you're not able to access therapy, there's a lot of information there. When it comes to limiting belief, you need to work with somebody to actually tell you that's a limiting belief. Because remember, the brain is working on a blueprint that it knows. And if the blueprint was never taught this is a limiting belief, how is the brain supposed to learn that? And I don't see any other part than choosing somebody to work with. It doesn't have to be me who's a leadership guide when it comes to business accelerating and strategy, it can be you, it can be somebody who you work with, it can be a sister, it can be a brother, it can be somebody in church. You can go and tell them, this is the, I find it difficult to do 1, 2, 3, and then have a conversation. They might be able to point it out to you that, hey, I think that there's something you're believing about yourself in this situation. But especially when you're in mid to senior level management, you can't do that work by yourself because you're just going to rotate and get back to where you are. It's not that you don't want to, it's that your brain does not know how to.
Yeah.
And you need to learn. Your brain needs to learn that this is how to do this thing. So you need to work with somebody in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for that specific reason, I developed a product, I think I mentioned to you, it's called Economics. Economics is harvesting your emotional economics and truly focusing them on what needs to be done in an organization. It's harnessing your emotional strength to actually say, okay, fine, I manage people, but this is the most effective way to manage my people because it makes me feel emotionally safe, emotionally secure, and it makes my staff also feel that way. And see, in the work environment, we're not looking for vulnerability for wishy-washy. We are looking for vulnerability for strength and resilience. Boosting confidence, boosting emotional, economic insight that helps to generate strategies whilst building influence within your work environment. So we're looking for small, sustainable things that practically are within your reach, that you can continue to do so every day. And that shapes all your relationships. Yeah.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, from the people that you've guided over time, what is the one thing that tends to be the biggest limiting belief that those people are dealing with?
Childhood experiences. Childhood experiences.
Okay.
And shame. Shame.
Okay. How does it show up to those?
In these instances, how it shows up? For women, it shows up as I'm showing off. I'm being proud. I'm being this loud lady.
Extroverted.
What are women told when they're growing up, depending on the age group? Be nice, be accommodative,
Be quiet.
For men, it shows up deep in feeling of insecurity, of am I worth it? So there's amplification of, I'm this person, but it's shame underneath it. And shame ideally is a belief that something is inherently wrong with you. And we carry that. And shame comes from adverse childhood experiences. And that's why I'm saying you can't do this work by yourself. Yeah.
Okay. We definitely will need to have a season 2.
Yeah,
episode 2.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's
because
fine.
this conversation can't end here. Thank you very much for being with us today. I think what I took away is that if you're wanting to grow in your career, you have to identify your anchor. You have to identify what's your identity. You have to know yourself. And you've got to identify somebody that you can work with who will help you to unpack what are the areas of woundedness, what are the areas where you have limiting beliefs, and how can you address them? Because often it's difficult to see it when you're in it.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much,
Thanks
Nyambura,
for having me.
And I look forward to the next conversation.
Sure. Thank you for having me. Bye.